Joining us tonight, Donald Trump Jr., Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, and he has a new book called Triggered: How the Left Thrives on Hate and Wants to Silence Us. It's now available for pre-order, and we want to recommend it to you highly. Great to have you with us.
Good to be with you, Lou. How's things?
They're great, particularly after al-Baghdadi was killed over the weekend by Delta and Special Operations Forces. The president making the decision, and it was so brilliantly executed, not a single loss of life, nor serious injury. A remarkably successful mission.
It really was, and what I really loved most is, watching it with everyone else. Yesterday, my father did the announcement where he gave credit where it was due. He gave it to the guys on the ground. He gave it to the soldiers who were there. He gave it to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He gave it to the K-9 units that were in there that were doing it, which was a little different than the last time we got a big guy where it was I. We all remember that. So it was so important for me to see him recognize the men and women of the armed forces who did such a good job getting this piece of garbage and bringing him to justice.
When you mentioned the first person singular, this is a president who seldom uses the expression. I can remember State of the Union addresses by Obama in which you heard the first person singular throughout, 100+ times. President Trump is truly the president of we. He uses that first person plural throughout his campaign rallies, throughout his speech, everyday speech, if a president can have everyday speech.
Well, he's doing that because he's doing this for the right reasons. He got involved with this not because he needed the job. Frankly, far from it. He knew what would come with it. He knew the viciousness of the other side. As I talk about in the book, the last thing he said to me, triggered. Because we do definitely trigger the libs.
Because you're a very sensitive guy.
Yeah, I am a sensitive guy. And, the last thing he said to me going down in the elevator before he made his announcement on June 16th, 2015 was, now we find out who our real friends are.
Yeah.
Which was an important statement because it shows he did this knowing that all these people he'd known for years would turn on him in a second, because there's consequences to being a conservative. There's consequences to being a vocal conservative. And there's a lot more consequence to being a vocal Trump-supporting conservative, because that movement, the Trump side of the movement of the Conservative Party, is the side that calls out the nonsense, doesn't just turn the other cheek, doesn't just take defeat because the other side wants you to lose, but actually fights back. And that's a real important thing for conservatives to learn.
It's for all Americans, frankly. I
agree with that.
That's an absolutely bipartisan lesson that this president is teaching.
100%.
It's to stand up. He is emblematic, in my opinion,
correct,
of the best of America's strength. I've never said I've never mentioned a word of what I've said to your father as president.
Yes.
But I will confess this. I've said to him, I don't know how in the world any other man could have stood, or woman, in your place with this assault, with 360 degrees of attack constantly, and stood up, and not only stood up, but persevered,
fought
and
back and won. And that's the reality. If you look at his accomplishments, and you can list them out, all-time low in unemployment across the board, 6.3 million people off on it. You do an incredible job of that. But accomplishment after accomplishment. But then you take the notion that he did all of that despite unprecedented. Now, that's not hyperbole. That's not an exaggeration. No president has taken the amount of incoming that my father has taken, and he's still getting it done. Now, imagine what he could accomplish with a little assistance from the left, some work on infrastructure reform. How about get USMCA off of Nancy Pelosi's desk and vote for it to do something for the American worker who so desperately wants and needs that added benefit from the disaster that we've seen from NAFTA?
You and I both know she will never, ever give the president his due or credit until the 2020 election is behind us. They've made that so clear. It is outrageous. It is despicable what she and Chuck Schumer and the Dems are doing. It's astonishing. And then I hear this nonsense from the other part of what he's a historic president in terms of his accomplishments. But then what he's dealing with with the national left-wing media. I'd like you to look at this headline that the Washington Post ran on al-Baghdadi. This was their original take on his obit. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar, said the Post, at the helm of Islamic State, dies at 48.
That's how sick these people are, Lou. I mean, I called him out pretty hard on this one on Twitter yesterday. I mean, this guy's a rapist, a murderer. He burned people alive. He threw gay people off buildings. This is the worst of the worst. And for them to be an ISIS sympathizer because they hate Trump, to make this guy into a religious scholar is sick. That's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer is a purveyor of organic and fine exotic meats. It's ridiculous.
It is.
And the left-wing media doesn't even have the notion of objectivity anymore. They've just decided that they are going to be the marketing wing of the Democrat Party. Now, the derangement, the insanity, and by the way, Bloomberg did the same to whitewash the history of these brutal beings, to try to somehow take away from Trump and his accomplishments, because this was one of his #1 goals in assuming the presidency. To take out these guys is truly sickening.
Have we got the full screen of the contribution of President Obama to the rise of ISIS? I'd like to show that if we could. Here we go. The rise of ISIS under President Obama, a 4,400% increase, rising from 700 fighters to 31,500, according to the CIA. Those are the CIA.
That's because Obama was weak. But he had no conviction, and he wouldn't actually try to take these guys out. Just remember the deal that mainstream media did when they got, and my friend Rob O'Neill shot Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
It was all Obama, and he did the speech where it was I, and he took credit, and they gave him glowing reports. But then when they get the #1 guy that they wanted to get, when it's Trump, they literally act as ISIS sympathizers. Think of how sick that is, Liz. Think of how deranged these people in the leftist media, which is a big portion of the media, unfortunately, 90-something%, 94%. But, that's the problem, because when we go into an election cycle, and that's the mentality, the average guy that's consuming a few minutes of news a day, they're seeing that. They're not even hearing about the accomplished, let alone the great successes. And that's really scary, because you have people that are actively trying to subvert democracy, whether that's Pelosi and Schiff with this underground. Whatever happened to democracy dies in darkness, Lou? Democracy dies in darkness, except for when Adam Schiff wants to conduct procedures in the basement where even the Republicans are saying there's nothing here, but they're selectively leaking.
Bezos is going to call Schiff up and Pelosi and tell him, this darkness thing is starting to bother me a little. That's our tagline, democracy dies in darkness. So maybe it's sort of a time for that.
I think democracy dies in BS, and God knows there's plenty of it from these people right now.
I have to tell you, I don't mind even the BS as long as there is an open dialogue, an open conversation. We've all gotten, knowing politicians, we've gotten used to that, I guess. What I don't like and cannot stand is this kind of silence and star chamber procedure that they have put in place of a legitimate, straightforward impeachment inquiry.
It was a coup when it started out as the Russia hoax. Okay, make no mistake. This impeachment inquiry started on November 9th, 2016, and they're just executing the plan that they've had all along because they can't accept the results.
And I know this puts me at odds sometimes with some of the folks on the right. I don't think this is a hoax at all. I don't think it's a witch hunt. I think it's an outright effort, and has been from the beginning, to overthrow a president, this president, our president, and we want them all to go where they belong, who are trying to do just that.
I agree with you.
Donald Jr., great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.